They say some people only learn after it's too late, but what happens when a Roblox obsession survives one disaster, only to drag someone into another? Do you remember Luna, the girl who disappeared after secretly trying to reach a boy she met in Roblox? Well, what happened next was somehow even worse, because this time, the one who made the choice wasn't Luna. It was Leo. And before this story ends, I want you to tell me in the comments one thing. Was this love, obsession, or the dumbest mistake two kids could ever make? Because after hearing everything, you might never look at Roblox stories the same way again. Before we start, drop a like, subscribe, and stay until the end. Because this case takes a turn that honestly feels impossible to forget. When Luna vanished, Leo stopped being the same person. After the reports about the ship accident spread everywhere, he became like a shadow inside his own house. He barely spoke. He stopped playing soccer, even though it used to be the only real thing that made him happy outside of games. He stopped answering his real-life friends. He stopped going outside. Most days he just sat in his room with the lights off, staring at nothing, replaying the last messages Luna had sent him over and over again. His parents noticed it immediately. The house that used to be filled with arguments became strangely quiet. They had spent years yelling at each other, but now neither of them even knew what to say to their son. Leo's mother would stand outside his door, wanting to ask if he had eaten, if he had slept, if he was okay. But every time, she would hesitate, because after everything that had happened before, after the plane crash, after the hospital, after seeing how close she had come to losing him, she didn't know how to reach him anymore. And Leo didn't make it easier. He stopped using his phone. He shoved it into a drawer and left it there for weeks, almost like it was cursed. Every vibration, every notification, every little sound reminded him of panic, metal, cold water, and the feeling that life could end in seconds. He told himself he was done with all of it. Done with Roblox. Done with Luna. Done with that entire part of his life. But that didn't last. One evening, when the house was silent and the boredom felt heavier than usual, Leo opened the drawer and took his old, cracked phone back into his hands. His fingers shook as he turned it on. The screen lit up. Then the vibrations started. Again, again, again. Notifications poured in so fast it didn't even feel real. Most of them were old messages from Luna. At first, his heart nearly stopped. He just stared. Because in his mind, Luna had become something unreal. A ghost. A name frozen in chats. A person the ocean had swallowed. But then he remembered. Those were from before. Before she disappeared. Before everything ended. He opened the conversation and read them all again. Leo, answer me. I'm scared. I wish you were here. I feel like nobody understands me except you. He sat there for a long time, reading every line like he was reopening a wound on purpose. And that was the worst part. Even after all the fear, all the trauma, all the warnings, he still missed her. So Leo made the mistake that restarted everything. He went back to Roblox. At first it was only for a few minutes, then an hour, then every night. He reopened Bloxburg. He walked through the empty places they used to visit together. The house they had built, the streets they had driven through, the balcony where they used to talk about what their real life together would look like. At some point, those places stopped feeling like a game to him. They started feeling like memories. Leo became obsessed with one idea. What if Luna was still alive? No body had ever been found. No goodbye had ever happened. No final proof existed, just silence. And silence is dangerous, because silence lets people imagine anything they want. He began checking her profile every single day. Offline. Then again. Offline. Again. Offline. But instead of helping him accept reality, that only pushed him deeper. He started convincing himself that maybe she had survived somehow. Maybe she had lost her phone. Maybe she was in another city. Maybe she had no memory. Maybe she was waiting for him. He knew it sounded insane, but obsession never sounds insane to the person trapped inside it. Over time, Leo stopped treating Luna like someone he had lost and started treating her like someone he needed to find. That was when things got dangerous again. He started rereading old chats and voice notes, looking for clues. He zoomed in on pictures. He studied little details she had once mentioned casually. The name of a diner near her neighborhood, a state highway, a beach she said she had visited as a kid, the type of weather outside her window, the sound of trains in the background of one voice message. Piece by piece, he began building a rough idea of where she might have lived, and the more he found, the more convinced he became. One night, while sitting alone in the dark, Leo whispered to himself, "What if she's waiting for me?" That was the exact moment he crossed the line. At first, he told himself he would only look up directions. Then he checked flights, then buses, then prices. Then he started planning routes, like it was all already decided. Deep down, he remembered what had happened last time. He remembered the plane. He remembered the freezing sea. He remembered begging to go home. But pain doesn't always kill obsession. Sometimes it just twists it into something worse. This time, Leo told himself it would be different. He wasn't flying blindly towards some fantasy. He was going to get answers. He was going to find Luna. He was going to know the truth, and once that idea took over, nothing else mattered. He began stealing money again. Not much at once, small amounts, whatever he thought wouldn't be noticed immediately. A little from his mother's purse, a little from cash hidden in drawers. He knew exactly how wrong it was, but in his head, he kept repeating the same excuse. Just enough to get there. Just enough to know. His father noticed first that Leo had changed again. The silence was different now, less broken, more focused. Leo wasn't just depressed anymore. He was determined. That scared him even more. One afternoon, his father tried talking to him. "Leo, listen to me. You've been acting strange again. What's going on?" Leo barely looked at him. Nothing. But it wasn't nothing. He was already researching Luna's state, already checking maps, already comparing bus stations, already imagining the moment he would knock on some random door and she would appear in front of him alive. He built the whole scene in his head so many times that it began to feel guaranteed. And then, one night, he found something that pushed him over the edge. An old photo Luna had once sent him years earlier by accident. It was blurry, half useless, just part of a street through a car window. But in the background, there was a pharmacy sign and part of a motel name. To anyone else, it meant nothing. To Leo, it felt like proof. That night he booked the trip. Not a plane this time. After what happened before, he couldn't even think about stepping inside an airport without feeling sick, so he chose buses. Long-distance buses, changing routes, crossing states. Slower, cheaper, and, in his mind, safer. He left at dawn. Backpack, charger, bottle of water, a hoodie, the old phone. And inside that phone, one final picture of Luna's Roblox avatar. He didn't leave a note. He didn't tell anyone. He just walked out quietly while the house was asleep and headed toward the station, with his heart pounding so hard it felt like it might crack his ribs. A 14-year-old boy traveling across states alone to find a girl he had only truly known through Roblox. At first, everything felt almost unreal. The first bus ride was calm. Leo sat by the window watching the roads blur past. He imagined her being alive. He imagined the story he would tell later. He imagined knocking on her door and hearing, "Leo, is that really you?" In his mind, the ending was already written. But obsession always writes fake endings. Hours into the trip, the weather turned bad. Rain slammed against the windows so hard the driver had to slow down. Traffic on the highway started building up. Cars ahead flashed red lights through the storm. The bus felt unstable every time the wind hit from the side. Passengers began murmuring. Leo looked outside and felt something cold crawl up his spine. He had felt this before. Not the same scene, but the same warning. The same sense that something was wrong and no one could stop it now. Then it happened. A truck ahead lost control. The highway turned into chaos in seconds. Tires screamed, people shouted. The bus swerved hard. Leo slammed into the seat in front of him as glass exploded somewhere to his left. The driver tried to regain control, but the road was too slick. The bus spun, broke through the barrier, and rolled down an embankment into muddy water near the side of the highway. Everything turned into noise, darkness, and pain. For a few seconds, Leo couldn't hear anything except ringing. He tasted blood in his mouth. Water and rain began leaking in as people screamed all around him. The bus lay half-tilted, one side crushed, the other slowly filling, Leo's body locked with panic. He thought, not again, not again, not because of this. He tried to move and felt pain shoot through his shoulder. Someone was crying nearby. Another passenger was kicking at a cracked emergency window. A man shouted for everyone to get out before the water rose higher. Leo dragged himself forward. His shoes slipped. His hands shook. Muddy water climbed around the seats. Someone grabbed his hoodie and pulled him toward the broken opening. For one horrifying second, he looked back and saw the inside of the bus, lit by flashing hazard lights, faces twisted in panic, rain pouring in, and it hit him all at once. He had done it again. He had thrown his life away again for a person from a screen. Emergency teams arrived fast because several drivers on the highway had already called for help. Rescue lights cut through the rain. Leo was pulled out shivering, soaked, and half-conscious. He was wrapped in a blanket and laid on a stretcher as paramedics shouted questions at him that he barely understood. At the hospital, doctors said he was lucky. Bruised ribs, a dislocated shoulder, cuts, mild hypothermia, shock, alive, again. And when his parents found out, it destroyed them. This time they didn't need the news to tell them. Police had identified him through emergency contacts. Leo's father nearly crashed the car himself trying to get to the hospital. His mother cried the whole way there. Not loud crying either. The kind that looks almost silent because the body is too tired to make a sound anymore. When they saw him in that hospital bed, pale, bruised, and staring blankly at the ceiling, neither of them spoke for a few seconds. Then his mother broke. She grabbed his hand and said, "Why? Why would you do this again?" Leo didn't answer. Because what answer could he even give? That he thought a girl who disappeared at sea might still be waiting for him. That he believed a Roblox connection was stronger than common sense. That he had risked his life twice chasing something that may not have even existed anymore. Days later, when he was stable enough to sit up, his father found the old phone in Leo's backpack. He opened it. He saw the chats, the maps, the saved routes, the screenshots, the obsession laid out in full. That was when the truth finally came crashing down. There was no proof Luna was alive. No message, no signal, no miracle, just a boy who had let grief become delusion. When Leo got the phone back, he opened Roblox one last time from the hospital bed. He went into Bloxburg. He stood in the empty plot where memories used to feel alive. He looked at the places that once felt more real than his actual life. And for the first time, none of it felt magical. It just felt cold. He opened Luna's profile, offline, still offline. Then Leo whispered, "I'm done." He logged out, turned off the phone, and this time he didn't check again. Because somewhere between the bus crash, the rain, the broken glass, and the hospital lights, he finally understood something that should have been obvious from the beginning. In Roblox, you can always respawn. In real life, sometimes you don't get another warning. So now, I want to know what you think. And be honest in the comments. If you were Leo, would you have still gone to look for Luna? Or would you have let her go forever? Because this story isn't just sad. It's the kind of story that makes you wonder how far obsession can push someone before reality finally hits back. If you want, I can now make this version even stronger in our exact YouTube style, with even more retention, cleaner dramatic transitions, and a more viral ending for narration.